Back in the day, the Philadelphia Phillies had those four aces, a.k.a. only a few years ago. Now they have a trio of toddlers that have helped the surprising Phils off. Well, they've raced off to a 22-16 start. I completely butchered my beginning there, but it's okay. Kyle Gaffner is here. I'm Adrian Fedku. The Phillies are 14-3 in one-run games so far. We talked about this last week. They were 11-3, and I was like, well, that record's got to even out eventually. But so far it hasn't, and one of the main reasons why they are 14-3 in those one-run games, it's because that trio of Aaron Nola, Vincent Velasquez, and Jared Eichhoff have been pitching stupendously. They're keeping the Phillies in the games.
Yeah, they have been. And it's our young building blocks that we can rely on. And they've raised that up to 14-3. I mean, the wins keep coming. They just keep adding up. And I don't know if they will even out. They probably could, but if these kids keep pitching like this, I hope not, because this is exciting. It's bringing some excitement back to Philadelphia baseball, and I love seeing it.
Dude, it's so exciting because these guys aren't even finished products yet. Vincent Velasquez still needs to develop a curveball. Aaron Nola is working on a changeup. And Eichhoff needs to work on a third pitch as well. So these guys are still raw. They're 22, 23, 24 years old, and they're already pitching lights out. It's spectacular.
I know. Imagine when they're not even close to their primes yet. I mean, they're all in their low 20s. It's crazy to think about. And imagine how good they could be with the right pitching. You know, all those guys in our pitching staff in their primes. I mean, it's just amazing to think about. This is what they've envisioned couple years ago. This is what they wanted to have. And looks like Amara pulled something off when he was out the door. Thank you.
Yeah, so we got these trio of starters. We got some guys in the minor leagues too. You know, got some quality arms. Jake Thompson's at the top of the list on the prospects, but there's a couple more too. You got Ben Lively that's really come on. Mark Appel is the big question mark, acquired in the Ken Giles deal. So you've got a trio of starters already. You're going to have more in the future. You have the number one pick where you might take another starter. In 2 to 3 years, this rotation might be one of the best in baseball. It's incredible. It really is outstanding.
Yeah, from 1 to 5, we could have elite arms up and down the rotation. It is exciting to think about. They have stocked up on pitchers, you know. And when I remember a couple years ago when they kept trading guys away and just kept getting pitchers and pitchers and pitchers, I'm like, come on, like, we need bats. But it's happy to see this come to fruition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the bats will come eventually. Right now, we're setting up that staff, and it's dynamite. Let's start with Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola is like, it seems like he's the best trio of the bunch, at least so far. I mean, he's kind of more pro-ready than the other guys. He's going to be 23 in June. He was in college just 2 years ago, but when he went 7th overall, this is what was supposed to happen. He was this advanced college pitcher that was able to move quickly through the minor league system and into a big league uniform, and here he is. So, and the question I got to ask you here is, the Phillies have been known to take high school pitchers. This is what they normally do, but this time they took a college kid, and they're reaping in the benefits right now.
It's worked out to their advantage. They'd like to get those raw toolsy players. When we were good, they were taking a lot of chances on guys. We did hit on Cole Hamels, even though he was a high school pitcher, but they wanted to get a guy that was more experienced, that could fly through the system and be more pro-ready and get up to the majors more quickly, so the rebuild would be a lot slower. And it has worked out to their advantage. Aaron, like you said, Aaron Nola's only 22 years old, and he seems to be the best out of all three of these guys, even though he's the youngest. His ERA is low. He's got a decent, winning percentage. But that's not going to matter because, we don't score that many runs. But his whip is disgusting. It's a measly .085. I mean, that's insane. He's got 58 strikeouts with only 9 walks, too. So, he's more of a technician than like a power arm. He paints the corners. So they've all got their different styles, Eichhoff, Velasquez, and Nola.
No, they do. They absolutely do. And going back to the raw numbers, kind of like you just hit on, his whip is 4th in baseball. His strikeout to walk ratio is 4th in baseball, 6.44. This kid's going to be only 23 years old, 2.89 ERA. I mean, Jesus. So you just talked about him painting corners and stuff. He doesn't throw hard. He throws like 90 miles an hour. That's it. But he just knows how to pitch. He knows how to make adjustments during games. That fastball command is outstanding. That's why that strikeout to walk ratio was so low.
Mm-hmm.
And that curveball, I mean, that thing just doesn't stop biting.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the best curveballs, I think, in the game. And as time goes on, he's going to develop that even more so. He could have the best curveball, maybe a la Clayton Kershaw, something as dirty as that. But, I mean, his command, he's got excellent touch, and I think he's got a bright future with the system. And just to touch on you, he's only given up 3 home runs out of all the runs he's given up. And last year, I think he had, in 77 innings of work, he had 68 strikeouts. So he's only 10 away from hitting that mark. And we're only, a month and a half, 2 months into the season. So, this strikeout rate could go over into the 100.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's number 1, Aaron Nola. Number 2, we're going to talk Vincent Velasquez. We had a video on him a couple of weeks ago when he struck out 16 Padres. And we're going to say a lot of the same things here. I mean, right now he's basically just a fastball pitcher, and that's it, but he's blowing heat by everybody.
Yeah, he's got a power arm. He's still young, too. And the injuries have held up. Fingers crossed, thank God. That's nice. He's only given up 3 home runs. That's another thing to add on this pitching staff. They don't give up that many home runs, which is nice. So they're making contact. He's got a measly whip, too. It's only .99. And that fastball is just, it's vicious. It lights up the radar gun. Absolutely. And he's got a pretty decent slider to go with that, though. So he'll speed your bat up with the fastball and then try to mix it up with that slider. It's got some bite to it. So I'd like to see him develop like a changeup, though, too, to go along the array of his pitches. But he's our power arm. You got Nola as the technician. He's our flamethrower of sorts.
Yeah, he throws like mid-90s, but the ball just jumps on you so quick. When you watch that Padres game, it's incredible how many fastballs were hit and misses, and not only hit and misses, but how behind they were on these fastballs, these heaters. It's incredible. 49 strikeouts in 43 and a third innings. That's 10.2 punch-outs per 9. That's just insane. Jeez. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and he's only got 13 walks to go with those 49 strikeouts. So, that's a lot of swings and misses there. So he's tops in the MLB too with strikeouts.
Yeah, so he's up there. And we talked about that breaking pitch that he has. It's a work in progress. The curveball, slider, whatever you want to call it, slurve, whatever you want to call it, uses it 21.4% of the time, throws it 21.4% of the time. So to compare that to Aaron Nola, he throws his curveball 34% of the time, and even Jared Eichhoff, he spins it up there 31.4% of the time. So again, the numbers show mostly just a fastball pitcher right now, but hell, when you got a fastball that strikes out everybody, you don't really need it.
Yeah, why go to another pitch? And a lot of young pitchers like to rely on their arm like that with their arm talent. They just want to blow everybody away and think they're untouchable. So that's understandable. But if he develops another pitch, man, with that fastball, look out.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I mean, he's just a raw talent there. So moving on to Jared Eichhoff. Now, Eichhoff is, kind of fallen off a little bit over his last couple outings. I believe what was the number I saw? He's 0-3 in his last 4 starts. And that ERA that was a minuscule 1.89 has now risen to 4.43. What are you seeing from him? Why is he getting shellacked all of a sudden?
He's starting to lose command of his pitches. He's pitching on the mound tonight, and he looked a little shaky in the first 2 innings. He's just not hitting his spots. So he's the type of guy that has to kind of rely on hitting his spots as well. He doesn't really have that overpowering fastball. Uses the more off-speed pitches with the curveball and the change. So that's why he's just, Chooch is aiming up somewhere, and his balls are just going complete opposite. So, and I think it's starting to get in his head a little bit too. So he's still a young pitcher, and that's starting to affect his pitching, which you see in a lot of guys too. That happens with. So I would like to see him get back to where he was at, because he was pitching, almost lights out. He had 38 strikeouts. Those 3 were in the tops for running. So his strikeouts have kind of gone down a little bit. But he's still not really walking pitchers either. He's only got 8 walks on the year too.
Yeah, he's a guy whose that curveball is nasty. It's disgusting. It's ridiculous. Hitters are hitting just .083 against it. But you look at that fastball. Oh, well, you talk about he only has 8 walks. and he's struggling with his fastball command. So what does that mean? That means he's throwing a lot over the heart of the plate. And guys right now are hitting 366 against his fastball. That's not good at all. And he's yet to develop a third pitch. So guys are just basically just laying off the curveball, teeing up on the fastball, and that's what they've been doing the last couple starts.
Yeah, they're waiting for that pitch because they know he's not hitting his spot on the fastball. So they're going to rely on that and just wait for him to throw it in the middle of the plate. He's becoming a very easy pitcher to hit nowadays. So I hope he develops that. Just got to have a little bit more confidence in himself.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's 25, so he's older than the three. You got 25 for him. Velasquez is 24, and Nola 22/23 next month. So we'll see. Jake Thompson. Now we'll get to him now. He's in AAA, Lehigh Valley. He was 5-1 with a 1.80 earned run average, 1.00 WHIP after coming over from Texas last year in the Cole Hamels deal in AA Reading. So currently the highest pitching prospect in our system. What are your thoughts on Jake Thompson?
I like Jake Thompson. I don't think he's going to be a number one. I think he's more of a back-end starter. I like his stuff. He doesn't have a real dominating pitch. There's about 3 or 4 solid pitches that he has there. It's not an overpowering fastball, low 90s. But he dominated Reading last year when he came over. I saw him a couple times, and he was lights out. Nobody could hit him. He was untouchable. Then he came over. He got the promotion to AAA. Looked pretty decent there. He got knocked around once or twice, but he came back on the mound in his next 2 games. He was lights out again. So I think he's got a little bit more development, but he's right there. I think he's going to be a spring call-up, and he'll be in the rotation next year. Yeah,
I agree with that. Right now, 2-4, 3.33, 3.32 ERA, AAA Lehigh Valley so far this year. So yeah, he's an interesting name. Maybe he'll even get a couple starts this year. We'll see. But the next guy on the list, Mark Appel. This guy is a big question mark. I have no idea what to think. I mean, this guy is a former number 1 overall selection, but the fact that he was just kind of a throw-in in this Ken Giles deal, it's a big red flag to me.
It's questioning because you would think, being a number 1 overall pick, he would be the mainstay in that trade, but it was Vincent Velasquez that the Phillies demanded and was the centerpiece of that trade. So they thought maybe throwing him in there with the Ken Giles trade, just a new change of scenery, would change his pitching mentality. But a lot comes with that number 1 overall pick. Mentally coming over, he's getting lit up. He's got all the intangible. He's got all the arm talent. It's just, is he going to display it and put it out on the field? I mean, he's got a great 4 pitches. He's got a really fast fastball. But can he be a starter in this league? And as to what we've seen so far, I don't think he can. I think he might be a back-of-the-end rotation guy.
The problem with him is, like, when I just watched him pitch today. I had this game on my DVR that I haven't watched, and I just watched it today. It was a spring training game. The Phillies played the future Phillies. So there was a game in Reading where they played 7 innings, and Mark Appel made an appearance in this game. He gave up back-to-back-to-back homers to the Phillies. So that was kind of funny to watch. But here's my thing with him. I mean, his windup, you watch him pitch, he's got like all these moving pieces. He's moving around everywhere. And I don't know, man. I got a bad gut feeling on him.
He does have a lot of moving parts. I don't know if that's part of his problem. I know he came out and admitted it was a lot of mental things going on with him. As being the number 1 overall pick, he had a lot of pressure on him, as I had said before. But also, when he starts to pitch bad, he loses confidence in himself. And that's the main step. If you're a pitcher, you have to command, you have to be dominant, you have to have full confidence in your stuff. So just go out there and pitch. Get out of your own head.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just a throw-in if he does become a starter for us. If not, worst case scenario, he's in the bullpen, which we could use some help in there too. So, it's kind of just like a blue chip there.
Yeah, we'll get to the relief thing in a second. But I did want to ask you this, because is there still hope for him? Because we've seen some starters, they've bloomed late in their careers. Just look at the 2 Cy Young Award winners last year. Dallas Keuchel. He didn't figure shit out till he was like 26.
Mhm.
27-year-old Jake Arrieta won the Cy Young last year. And he didn't do shit until he got to Chicago. He had a
Mhm.
5.46 lifetime ERA with Baltimore. So is it possible that Mark Appel can come up here? How?
It's very possible. You never know. Like you had touched on, there is late bloomers. You never know until you get to the dance. And if he's consistently lit up and he can't do it, then fine. But I don't think you give up on somebody until maybe they're in their late 20s, maybe early 30s. Because he could. Because when he got to AAA, his first three starts, he looked amazing. It's like, oh, there's what we saw when he was coming out of Stanford. That's why you were the top pick in the 2013 draft. So, it's there. So I would just give him a chance. And we have the wiggle room to do that because of all the pitching prospects that we have.
Yeah.
So,
How long do you wait? What's the age?
I think, in my opinion, the cutoff, it's got to be about 27 for me. He's 24 right now. He's had a little bit of command issues, but I'd say 27. What would you think? Would you
Yeah.
think
27 is normally the general rule for prospects. Like once you get to like 26, 27, and you still haven't figured it out, then you're basically done. There's no more development. That's kind of how it works. So I agree with you there. So I think ultimately he's going to become a bullpen guy. I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to be like, it's happened to a lot of pitchers that, were first rounders. At least I think like Andrew Miller was a first rounder, and he's now in the bullpen. Baltimore has done this with numerous pitchers. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. We've seen this act before.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of sports that comes with a lot of heavy weight on you, and a lot of pressure being that. But it's hard to hit on pitchers, especially in the MLB. It's not only it's not like you just go from college into the bigs. You've got systems that you got to go up on. It's all technique. You could be lights out one year, you could be absolutely awful the next. So plus barring injury, Tommy John. There's just so many factors that go into it. So we'll just have to wait and see on Mark Appel.
Yeah. I'm like blanking on those Orioles kids right now. I got Zach Britton, but I can't think of the other one. I'm just
Dylan Bundy.
There's another lefty they got. Whatever. All right. We'll talk about the kid that's been the best minor league pitcher this season so far, and that is Ben Lively, AAA Reading, 6-0 as a starter this year. Amazing. 1.53 ERA. He just struck out 12 last week in a game against the Thunder. He was named the Eastern League Pitcher of the Week again on Monday for the second time this season. What are your thoughts on Ben Lively?
I love what I'm seeing out of him because last year he looked like he didn't know what he was doing, where he was at. He had an inflated ERA. He didn't last many innings when he would come and start in pitching. He didn't look like he was going to be a starting pitcher when I watched him. And now to see him turn around, get another year under his belt, looks like he's figured it out. Plus, I think there was a lot of other prospects in the Reading system that kind of probably affected his mental state a little bit because 6-0 and 1.4, like 12 strikeouts. We thought we were going to be talking about Ben Lively when we were talking about this. But I say you give this guy a promotion to AAA now. I think he's figured out AA. He's been mowing everybody down. Named player twice, Eastern Division League Player of the Year or a Player of the Week twice this year. So, you wouldn't even aforementioned to think that Jake Thompson didn't even win that last year, nor did Zach Eflin, and they were pretty good studs for us last year in Reading too. So I say you promote them, and then look at all those horses you have in AAA. I mean, the Pigs might actually start winning some games. So, and for a guy we got from Marlon Byrd, an over the hill bat that we gave to Cincinnati, and to get a prospect like that, that's a win for us.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean Marlon Byrd is just Marlon Byrd at this point. So last guy to talk about today on the show, Zach Eflin. Don't get that confused with Zach Efron. 4-0, 2.79 ERA in AAA Lehigh Valley. So he's having a good season too.
Yeah, he had a great season last year with Reading. He deserved the promotion. He looked really good in spring training this year. He's actually my favorite pitcher out of all these guys, even though Jake Thompson's number 2 on the prospect list. I think Eflin could be right up there. We got this guy in the Jimmy Rollins trade. Another steal for an over-the-hill player that's past his prime. Great young prospect. He's got all the intangibles. Got a good fastball. He's got a nice slider too. And he had an even lower ERA, but the last 2 games, he lost command. He let up some runs. But this upcoming start, he's going to figure it out, man. I think he could be up with the bigs probably as of July, maybe. Even work him into the bullpen. But he's a surefire starter, number 2 starter, I say.
He was the kid that started the game that I was referencing earlier, the Phillies and future Phillies game, and he gave up 5 runs in the first inning. So,
oh yeah, still a little bit of growing pains for him. He hasn't yet figured out big league pitching, but he will. If he continues to do what he's doing at AAA, he'll figure it out.
Adubel Herrera hit this this fucking lacer that I like so hard hit. I was surprised it didn't take down the billboard.
He's been known to do that though.
Yeah, they have this like billboard of a Wawa coffee, and he literally like hit the top of it, and awesome. I thought he was going to put a hole through it. This ball was hit so fucking hard, ridiculous.
That's awesome. Like it flew out of the stadium.
Dude, it was a bomb.
Probably threw a duck right over the plate for him.
No, he did. He did.
I wonder that. Do the kids like when the big league guys are coming in? It's like, do we go easy on them? Like, do we shatter their confidence if the young prospects come in and beat these guys?
Oh man, well it was 17 or 16-4 when I stopped watching it. So they were putting on a nice little pummeling on the Phillies.
They're putting the hurt on them. I think Ryan Howard had 2 or 3 homers that game too.
Howard had he had an opposite field homer against the Pell, actually. that wasn't even part of the back-to-back.
It's sad. I hope that kid figures it out, but he's probably like, oh wow, Ryan Howard just hit a blast off me. This is exciting. It's probably the closest I'll get to big league pitching.
Oh man.
Or big league hitting.
So there you go. All right. That's about it for this show. Well, I'm sure we'll wrap it up with something. Maybe, I don't know. We kind of talked. I mean, Nola seems like the guy that we think is going to be the best, right? Out of this crop. Out
of the trio, yeah, I think he's probably going to be the best out of all of them. He's the youngest, and he's got the most potential and showed the best pitching ability out of all of them so far, too. So, yeah, I think he could even be our number 1. Everybody keeps saying he's not a number 1. He'd be at best a number 3. I just don't see it. Just because he doesn't have the overpowering stuff, so what? Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Alex doesn't need overpowering stuff.
No.
So,
yeah. No, not at all. I'd say he'd be our number 1, and then Velasquez number 2. But when do you think, if at all, do you think any of the young pitching prospects get called up? Since, Tommy Joseph's got called up and we didn't see that coming. Do you think they, reach down below and bring up some young guys at all this year?
It depends how we do. I mean, if we're like competitive, I don't think we're going to bring up anybody. But late in the year, like September, those September call-ups, August, if we start getting out of the race a little bit, if we're like really down in the standings, then I think we'll see August, September, maybe a couple guys pitch.
Or barring injury. I mean, I was surprised when Charlie Morton went down that they brought Adam Morgan up. I can't stand that dude. I'd rather just saw Jake Thompson up here or Zach Eflin. But I'm not a fan of Adam Morgan, so I don't know why he got the call up.
Adam Morgan. They do that. They just like bring up who the fuck is this guy? Why are they bringing him up? Like they always do that shit.
Like why? You were a big prospect 5 years ago when Tommy Joseph was as of relevant too. Like that was the big arm we got for Shane Victorino how long ago? Like another power arm guy that never panned out. He complete bum.
Yep. So going back to Nola, he's the pitcher out of the 3 right now. The other 2 guys are more throwers. He's a pitcher. So that's the difference between those 3.
Yeah, they've got all their, different styles, kind of like we had when we won the World Series. So I think they've got the blueprint, especially our new GM, Matt Klintak. I know he's come out and said, pitching, I want more pitching. He wants to build this squad through power pitching. as he said before, you win games with pitchers. You have a low ERA, but I'd still like to see some bats. So it raises the question, do we take a pitcher at that number one spot? Or do we take a bat, another prospect? I mean, it's interesting to see what we're going to do.
Well, it seemed like for a while pitcher was the way we're going to go, but now the last couple of weeks the rumors have come out we might go for a bat.
And I think it's because what we've seen from our young pitching staff that they've stepped up, that we have kind of put that to bed, that we really don't need to go out and get one of these, the college guy Puck or Grom out of Barnet, the high school kid that's got dominating stuff. I'd love to see them get a bat. That would be a dream come true to get some offense back with this pitching.
Yeah, that's what they did last year. The Cornelius Randolph, so first rounder.
Mm-hmm.
They went bat. They went with the guy that they say is the next Tony Gwynn. I mean, whatever. I don't see Tony Gwynn, but he is a big boy.
He's a big boy, and he's been hitting great at Lakewood before that injury. So I like what I see out of him. He's going to rise through the ranks pretty quick, I think.
Yeah. All right, there we go. All right, that's pretty much our show for today. We discussed the young arms, the smoking aces, as I called this show. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun watching these kids next couple years. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun this year watching this Phillies team. A lot, like 10 times more fun than I thought it was going to be all year. So, great stuff so far.
Because there's no high expectations, man. Sky's the limit. That's what's so awesome about it. How far can they go? I think that's what we keep looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the losing streak. I'm just waiting for it, and it hasn't happened yet.
Thank God.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, for Kyle Gaffner, I'm Adrian. Thank you. We'll have a show sometime this week, maybe later this week. We'll do a Sixers video. I want to do a Sixers video.
Yeah, we got the draft coming up tomorrow. The draft selection coming up tomorrow. So.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, we did want to do something on that.
So
we'll do something on the lottery. We will do something on the lottery. All right. With that being said, Kyle Gaffner, I'm Adrian. Thank you. We are out.
See you guys.
Stay tuned. Draft lottery results tomorrow.
All right.